Welcome to NJCAA Hot Hoops. Once again, Kenya Landers, Dan Olson. We're here to talk JUCO women's basketball. Kenya, we just got off the break for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
We got a lot to talk about today.
And how was your Thanksgiving?
It was really nice.
Yeah.
Although my wife and I usually spend it apart. I was in actually Fort Lauderdale.
Nice.
Yeah,
First time in a long time, I feel like.
it was, and but basketball surrounding, of
Mhm.
course, as usual. And I hope you had a good one as well.
I did. Lots of family,
Good,
lots of friends, lots of food. So it was fantastic. That's another F.
good, very
Fan-
good.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Well, we're into December,
Yes.
and that November disappeared quick. We've got the national tournament back in Casper, Wyoming again this year, as we usually mention, the Ford Wyoming Center. We're starting March 25 to April 1,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll determine a national champion. And you know what? Before you know it, it's going to be March 1, and it's going to be right there knocking on the door.
I know. It's
You know,
crazy to even think about that. But
yeah.
as we know, it
It's,
all happens very fast. So
we had some winners and losers from the past week and a half.
yeah.
Who were they?
Yeah, so to talk about our who's hot and who's not list, it's always hard over Thanksgiving because really, you have freshmen that have never been away from home for Thanksgiving and they're sad and so
Good
it's
point.
just another hurdle
That's a good
for our
point.
coaches to jump, right? I mean, just
Yeah.
another mental part of the game that we have to figure it out. But I will say there's we got some hot ones. New
Mhm.
Mexico rolling
Yes, they are.
3-0.
Yeah.
Hutch still holding it 2 and
Mhm.
0. Wabash Valley, State Fair, and Moberly were all 3-0, and then Western Nebraska was 3-1. And these games that they played were not weak games. They were not your typical, Thanksgiving break, plush games. They went and played in some really good classics and stuff like that, and some really really good events. And we had some people that not so hot this week, but you know how it is. They're just going to turn it around and they're going to be ready to go again this week. Butler County and Colby both went 0-2, and then Columbia State and Tennessee, they went 0-3. So,
Mm.
like I said, though, it's a long season. So you guys stay encouraged and keep working because, you know,
Yeah, even though
more
Butler's
games
0
are
2 for the
coming.
week, Butler's got some talent. And
Yes.
Mike Helmer's good coach, been there a good long time,
Mm-hmm.
stable environment.
Mm-hmm.
He figures it out. So, but as for the top five or so in the tournament in the current poll,
Yeah.
um, who do we got? We got Hutch at number one,
Still holding.
still holding at one. Northwest Florida State, 11-0, holding at two. New Mexico, three at three with a 10-0 record. They're rolling people, like you said.
They are.
And Southern Idaho moved up one, 7-1 now.
Mm.
And then Dodge City slipped into five. They're 9-1.
Up on people.
But we mentioned this the last show about Shelton State playing some good people.
Mm-hmm.
They're at number 7. Their strength of schedule solid.
Yeah.
And, but Three Rivers fell to number 8. I think they were at 4 or 5, and they fell to 8. And
Mm-hmm.
then we've got McLennan at 10, and then we got a new team that we really haven't talked a lot about that wasn't really a dominant figure last year. Arizona Western. They're they're surprising some
They
people.
are.
It could
They
be
are.
throwing a real mess into that Arizona league.
Yeah. I mean,
So
have a win over Odessa. I
I think
mean,
I think
that's
so.
that's big time.
Yeah. Um, Division two. It seems as if the Division two top 25 or top 20, at least those four teams that have kind of been there from the onset. Kirkwood, the defending national champ.
Mhm.
Johnson County 12-0 is the runner-up. But then you got Essex out of Baltimore, and you got Union on New Jersey are 3-4 for the week.
Yeah.
And I've saw those two teams play, Essex and Union, and it was a battle. It was good basketball that day as a jamboree goes. And so I think those teams will start to make some noise as we move on into Division II conference play and that sort of thing. They'll start to ring up some numbers.
Yeah, it's so fun to watch. I love, and that could have just been from my lack of knowledge or frankly maybe appreciation, but that Division II league it's good basketball and those young ladies get after it. I mean, they are just so fun in how they compete and we got some really really good coaches
Yep,
on the Division II level too. So
I
we can't
agree.
sleep on that Division II league because it is a good one.
Yeah. Hey, when we come back, we got a lot to talk about. We're in our rewind section. We got a lot of games from the past week and a half that we need to talk about. And we'll do that right when we come back from NJCAA Hot Hoops in our next segment.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
We're back with NJCAA Hot Hoops, Kenya. We're in our rewind segment of the show. We had a lot of good games that we've watched over the past week and a half.
Yes.
Through Thanksgiving break. Dodge City, like we said, they're on a roll now. They've moved up in the poll. They knocked off Garden City by 6, and they had 3 people in double figures that game. And they've got a couple of forwards on that team, one being Shorna Preston. She's an Aussie, had 14 points in that game. And I think Dodge City's somewhere one that we'll see down the line as we move on through the season, as they did last year. And then we just touched a minute, ago about Arizona Western.
Yeah.
They knocked off Eastern Arizona in overtime by 4.
Yeah.
And they've got a good guard combination. Divine Harris, she dropped 18. Naomi Zanzan Hui.
Say it again.
I can't. She's going to UC Irvine. She had 12.
Yeah.
Big guard, can stick the 3. Nice player. For Eastern, Ashlyn Charleston, their post player, one of the elite post players in the JUCO class, sophomore class, had 15 and 8 in the loss. So, but both of those teams will continue to win. And it'll be a battle down the stretch, I think, in that Arizona league for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the other team you alluded to that was steamrolling people, they're still steamrolling. New Mexico beat Snow 74-56.
Yeah.
One of the top ranked guards in the country, Keisha Antonio, a point guard with size, explosive speed, kind of reminds me of Kenya Landers in her early days. She had 21 and 5 steals in that game against Snow. And then their front court monster, Panya Davis, who's going to Florida State, had 20 and 2 blocks.
It's so good.
So we need to talk with the coach at New Mexico here moving on, Austin Mefford, and in our shows ahead. And he can talk more about his team. The other juggernaut, so to speak, in that league out west is South Plains. And they're doing the same thing. They beat Hill 76-42. And we mentioned Bella Bilong. She's a 6'1", 6'2" forward, kind of a bouncy, athletic 4. She had 13 and 6 for South Plains in that win. Florida Southwestern is making some noise. Okay. I watched them a couple of weeks ago. They got beat by 5 on a neutral floor against Northwest Florida State, the number 2 team in the country.
Right.
And Ivy Brown, who's kind of a 2-3, kind of plays a 4. She's only like 5'8", but she's a kind of a workhorse. She had 15 for Florida Southwestern. The backcourt of Northwest Florida State is legit. It's one of the elite backcourts in all of JUCO. And Makia Chase, a sophomore, Nevaeh Scott, a sophomore. They kind of complement each other. They play the 1, the 2 both ways, and they put up numbers. And
Yeah.
they had 19 and 10 combined from that guard spot. So that was a good win, and it was a good game. I'm sure I didn't see it, but it was a good game for sure.
Well, the chemistry that they play together with is, I mean, their chemistry, it's like they're almost to the point where they can read each other's minds. And
Yeah.
it's so fun to watch them just play off of each other. And it seems like they don't care which one of them gets it done. They just
Yep.
they share the ball. Really, really fun to watch.
It seems as Northwest Florida State has a really good continuity to their team. Everybody knows their role.
Yeah.
They've got front court depth, athleticism. They can press you, turn you over, and they got good guard play that can make shots on the perimeter and know how to handle the ball and not turn it over.
Yeah.
So, and that's
As the
key.
guards go, the game goes.
There you go, as we always say.
Yep.
Three Rivers knocked off Shelton State. As we said, Shelton State ain't ducking nobody, right? 64-48. Jasmine Davis, star guard for Three Rivers, had 12 and 5 assists. That's normal operating procedure for her.
Just another day at the office for Jasmine.
Yeah. And then Shelton turns around and knocks off Wabash, 91-83.
Yeah.
And we haven't talked about this player. She's from I want to say she's an overseas player, Julie Nikolna, about 6'2", 6'3" center. She was a workhorse. She had 22 and 11 in that win over Wabash. And then your favorite player, Beautiful Waheed. She was continuing to light it up, had 29. Shemaya Reed, who's a little jitterbug point guard for Wabash, added 22. You're always going to have points exchange when you're playing Wabash. They make you play like that, But I think a real statement game for Florida Southwestern happened when they knocked off Gulf Coast. And I think that was on Gulf Coast's home floor.
You're right.
They beat them by 22.
Right.
Had 5 players in double figures. And, Ivy Brown, again, was their mainstay at 25 and 13 in that win. And I don't think that'll happen again at Gulf Coast because I think he's just going through kind of one of those changes in his program of people kind of understanding what their role is, But they've got the talent to make a run right at the national title. But wow, Florida Southwestern, what a good win for them,
That's a great win. That's a great win on the road. What a huge bout of confidence that has to give.
No question.
I mean, if I'm them, and I'm handling that game like I did, and it's not like they just ran away with it at the end. I mean, they controlled the game as the game went on, and so that's a huge game, and I know that their coach is going to use that as confidence, as motivation for them to continue to improve, because that's big time.
Yeah, agreed. Arizona Western turns around and beats Odessa 84-60. Had 5 players in double figures. That's impressive.
You get a ball.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So, I mean, Chelsea Dewey is the head coach at Arizona Western. She's done a nice job this year so far. So I'm anxious to see her team continue. I'm going to see Arizona Western in mid-December down that way. And I'm going to see what's going on down there in Yuma. Tyler. Now we're going to have Trenia Tillis-Hoard, the head coach at Tyler, on our show on the hot seat today. She ran into a buzzsaw with South Plains, though.
Yeah.
And Bella Belong, 19 and 15. South Plains is no joke. And they're going to be challenging, I think, at the end. That's going to be one tough region to get out of.
That region 5, woof.
Yeah.
We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. That region is very, 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 very difficult.
I hope no one gets injured on any of those teams.
So that we can
So
really
it is
see.
legit at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too.
So be exciting to see how it all unfolds. I may have to make that region final. That might be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Listen, when we come back, we're going to talk upload
Yeah.
and talk about the games that we have going forward here in the week ahead when we come back with NJCAA Hot Hoops. We're back with NJCAA Hot Hoops. Kenya, we're uploading, baby.
Upload. Okay? Yeah.
And let's talk about some games ahead for the week. And, finals week starting to roll in and creep in. Some here, some of these kids get done with school second week in December.
Yeah.
So they're starting to fold it up a little bit, but there's still some good games that can go. You gotta keep gas pedal down,
Yeah, you can't. Not yet.
Yep. So McLennan's at Blinn. Don't sleep on Blinn.
Second or third time they played Blinn, I feel like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
Mm-hmm.
And
battle every time.
And then, Eastern Florida State, who's been a mainstay over the last couple of years in the national tournament, they've always kind of disrupted everything in Florida.
Yeah.
Well, they're finding out now they're going to go play at Florida Southwestern, who's kind of hot, and they're riding the wave. So that'll be a good game this week coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Trina's going to play Jarvis Christian's JV. That could be a builder for her, and we'll talk about her team as we come in our next segment. But and then we go back to Arizona where Coach East is Coach East. They're playing at Eastern Arizona. Two tough teams need a win. Somebody's got to walk out the door with a loss, and that'll be a tough game.
Yeah.
And then Southern Idaho is going to go play Casper. Two of those teams in that northwest part of the United States that are perennial top 10, 15 teams in the country. Casper, I think, started out a little slow, and now they're starting to cook a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And Southern Idaho, I mean, they're up there in the top 5, so that'll be a good game. You got McLennan then going to Panola. I think Panola's a dark horse. As they move on in the season, they've got the talent to pull this thing off.
Yes.
And really disrupt a lot of things going on. And then, to finish off, we got Tyler playing Temple. And then at Cisco, they're in a Temple Classic down in Temple, Texas. But, Tyler's got a lot of talent. And they're obviously well coached.
Yep.
And when we come back, Kenya, let's talk with Trina at Tyler Junior College when we come back from Hot Hoops.
That's going to be a good one.
You got it. See you in a minute.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Okay, we're back with NJCAA Hot Hoops. Kenya, we've got a special guest today, Trenia Tillis-Hoard, head coach at Tyler Junior College.
Yes.
Trina, man, we should have had you on before. I mean, you've done you've been doing some great things over the years at Tyler, and we want to know about your magic. So, you won the national title in 22, correct?
In 2022.
Yeah. And I remember that quest that you made through the JUCO tournament, because you almost got knocked off, and then you hit a jump shot, and then the rest of your team just kept hitting jump shots.
Right.
And next thing you know, you get the thing done, So, Kenya, every time I see Trina, I always tell her I forget to bring the bottle of Windex because she's got so much hardware, she's got to get it shined up.
And right and left, right and left.
You
So,
also tell me I got lucky that I won that one. But you know what? It is about luck. When you talk about
yeah.
those national titles, everything has to go your way.
Yes.
And I always say it's divine order, because when you see those teams that they win 6 and 7 and 8 national titles, that means it was theirs. They were put in position to get those. Kenya knows about those. It was our year. Everything fell into place. To come out of Region 14 as the third place seed, the team that we didn't know if we could get in, and then to put us in a position to have to play Chipola right off the bat, and then to be the first game at 10 o'clock in the morning, playing Chipola, being the 17 seed, then having to go into overtime, then having a lead and us having to come back, and then having to face the number 1 seed the next day. That was just all order. Everything worked out in our favor.
Cal, you just stressed me out. All of that reminded me why I'm no longer on the sideline.
Talk about stressed out. I mean, we had a 29-point lead on the number 1 team in the country in the first quarter. And all I could think about is, how am I going to mess this up?
Yeah.
The whole country is going to be laughing at me. How am I going to mess this up? I can't mess this up. They're going to come back, and what's going to happen? And that's all me and my assistants could think about on the sideline is, how can we mess this up? We're not going to mess this up. I had one player that I never played in that whole game, and we've got a 25-point lead. And I wish I'd have played her, but all I could think that whole time was, we could mess it up. We could shift the momentum. They go on a run, we lose this ball game. This is the number 1 team in the country. And you're just trying to win at that time. You don't want to mess it up. You don't want to get in the way or interfere with what these kids are doing, because you can't play. If I could get out on the floor and play right now, we wouldn't have the record we have today.
Right. Right.
If I'm correct, wasn't one of your better players injured during that title run too, correct?
Beyonce Powell, my shooter.
What about Beyonce?
Beyonce was
good guard.
Injured. Beyonce was injured. Keika Lacine was suspended the first game versus Chipola. We had everything stacked against us, and those kids just kept going. They were like the Energizer Bunny. They kept going and going and going. We didn't know who was our starters. We didn't know who were going to be our best players. I didn't know who was going to be our leading scorer. And I thought having that box of chocolate mentality, that Forrest Gump, you never know what you're going to get. I thought that mentality made us dangerous because we were a hard scout for a lot of teams. Were you going to guard Tia? Were you going to guard Beyonce? Well, didn't have to guard Beyonce. She was on the bench. But who were you going to guard? And who were you going to stop? And then when you had Debbie, and I always said Debbie was that kid that Debbie was going to do what Debbie do whenever Debbie did it. And Debbie is still doing that at Sam Houston to this day. I mean, in D1, she's still a double-double kid. And she was an undersized kid that no one gave credit. But she literally went into the locker room and told her teammates, trust me, throw whatever you want to throw up there. I'm going to go get it. Yeah. And you had a kid that averaged 17 rebounds in the national tournament and became the MVP under 6 foot.
We got to clone those players.
You got to clone those kids because they're not making them like that anymore.
No,
right.
No.
Not at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this year's team.
Yeah.
I know you've been up and down so far, but you got some talent, and I'm sure by the time we're all said and done, we're going to be talking about an interesting product on the floor.
Well, we've got some talent, but they've got a crazy coach. They do. I just believe I'm one of those coaches that, yes, I have 500 wins, but I don't want 500 wins because I have a cupcake schedule.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want 500 wins because I'm trying to get 20 wins a year playing JV, university, or the School of the Blind. So we've got 4 losses, but those 4 losses are 2 to South Plains that I think South Plains should be in the top 5 in the country.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
1 is to McLennan and 1 is to Collin. And nobody's going to recognize that those losses are to teams like that because they're still 4 losses. You need to beat someone. But we played those teams, and those teams are going to help us when it comes to Region 14 play. Yes, it's losses on our record, but I keep saying that when we won the national title, we had 8 losses. So it's just going to make us better. It's going to make us tougher. We're dealing with our best player has a stress fracture that's undetected on in the MRI, but we're conservative here at TJC. We know these kids have to walk after they play basketball, and we know when they get older, they're going to have a life after this. And so we're going to hold them out. We're going to take care of their bodies. And so we've got that, and we're dealing with illnesses. And so we just got to play through adversity. I always say God trusts me a whole lot because he's going to give me the little things that a lot of coaches don't have to go through. And I just try and try to stay in faith, and I try not to get down, and I try not to get frustrated. I've got to coach what I have and not give up and stay in the fight.
Yeah. Well, Dan and I talk about all the time, the teams that are playing these tough schedules now. I mean, you're doing it for a purpose, right? Like you're playing the schedule that you're playing right now, like you said, to prepare for Region 14, to prepare for the regional tournament, to potentially prepare for the national tournament. So Dan's favorite words is, you ain't ducking nobody.
There you go.
Well, you prepare to propel yourself. Because when you think about it, when you play those tough schedules.
I like that. Wait, say it again.
You prepare to propel.
I love it.
I'm preparing so that I can propel myself when the opportunity comes, because all I need is the opportunity. And it's the situation that when you get to the national tournament and you got these teams that only have 3 losses. I mean, I hate to keep saying it, but when you play a team like a Three River, because when we played Three Rivers that year, they were undefeated. But when we came across Three Rivers hadn't met anything like TJC. So I think it was 20-something to 26 or 27-0 before they scored their first basket, because they hadn't come against what we had come against night in and night out. Right. And I'm always telling, we laugh around here, but we always talk about who we're playing in terms of animals. And I'm always saying, hey, we're playing these sharks and these orca whales and these piranhas. And we're even sometimes playing stingrays. And stingrays look harmless and you want to pet them, but if the barbs get you, you might be in trouble. So we're always talking about we're playing those types of teams. And you got to watch out for those teams, because when you go in, night out, and you might have the opportunity to lose, you've got to be... It's heightened awareness in your game. You've got to be selective in your shooting. You've got to be, you're the hunted. And when you're the hunted and the hated, you're everybody's Dallas Cowboy game. You're everybody's Pittsburgh Steelers game.
There you go. Say that.
Yeah, that title.
Cowboys are struggling right now, so we can't use them.
Listen, seriously though,
the
Cowboys are struggling. We're struggling. Nobody cares that they're struggling. They're still coming in saying we beat them Cowboys.
Right. Yeah.
They're still they're not having any less Sunday games. They're not cooking chicken wings any less because they're playing the Cowboys. They're hyped because they're playing the Cowboys. Yeah. We are about to beat the Cowboys. Okay. They're still making their little memes about playing the Cowboys. Okay. It's not getting any less. There's still respect for the Cowboy program. Same thing about our Apaches. They're coming in to beat the Apaches. They're still diving on the floor when they beat us. They're still hugging their coaches like mad people. So yeah, that's respect. That's respect for the background of the TJC program.
Absolutely. Because I mean, you came there in 2000 when I was leaving Trinity Valley as a player. And I just remember watching your teams. And I mean, one thing that I've always been able to say about your teams is your teams play hard. Like whether you guys were super talented or whether you were having a down year or whether, you know, you had a lot of talent, but it hadn't come together yet. But you guys have just always really, really played hard. And I feel like that's something that y'all have been able to hang your hat on. But obviously that stems from you and what your coaching style and how you believe that the game should be played.
Well, we're gonna play tough. I mean, we're not gonna always get the most talented kids because at TJC we've got to get a character kid. We're Harvard on the Hill, so it's not easy to get in. We're not going to get the international kids that everyone can get in because our standards are so high. Our TOEFL scores are so high. It's tough to get kids in. We don't get 15 players on scholarship. We only get 12 on scholarship. So it looks like it's easy over here, but it's a little tougher. With that, I always say we've got to make chicken salad out of chicken poop. But
About to say
if you get the right ingredients,
yeah,
and you get the kids to buy into what you're trying to do. I always say I want to be the toughest thing my kids have ever seen, because if I'm the toughest thing my kids have ever seen, when they get to their next level, they're not worried about what the D1 coaches deliver to them. They're not worried about what happens in the classroom there. They're not worried about even the strength and conditioning coaches. They've seen it all because they come through Coach T. And because I'm also developing them towards life, not just basketball, because this basketball thing is going to end so fast that they're going to go, wow, I'm an adult with children. But if they can come through me and I'm teaching them all these life lessons and I'm teaching them how to be tougher, how to be stronger, and how to go against the Goliaths like Trinity Valley and the New Mexicos and the South Plains and not give up, even when you're playing these players and these stronger players and these stronger coaches and these stronger programs, it's getting them ready for something that's bigger than basketball. But using that little orange ball to do it in a fun way, that's a blessing. I mean, you got to use that as a blessing. And getting it to do it every day, I feel blessed. I feel honored because I don't have to go to work. I get to go to work.
Right.
How many people can say that? They get to go to work.
That's right. That's right. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about your experiences with USA basketball. Because let me tell you, when I got the opportunity to be a court coach, that was literally one of the most just breathtaking experiences for me. I mean, just the honor and just the opportunity just to be amongst the greatness and the prestige and everything of USA basketball. So because you've had the opportunity to do it twice, correct?
I've done it more than that. I've been I've been a court coach, I want to say 3 times, if not 4.
Okay.
I played in the Junior Olympics when I was at Stephen F. Austin. And then I've been the assistant coach and I have 2 gold medals.
Yes, that's what I was thinking, your 2 gold medals. What an honor.
Impressive.
It's a tough experience.
It's really insane. I mean, I've got an unboxing to do that I haven't had time to do. I know I got it in the mail the other day and I've got to just sit down and do it. But I know it's in it because I've looked at everybody's videos. But you know how you just want to enjoy those moments because USA sends you different gifts. And I know it's the 50th anniversary. And the fact that they call it the USA basketball family. But when you think of an African-American female coming from a small town, coming from poverty, coming from so much that you could say that there are so many reasons that I shouldn't be a part of anything, but a little orange ball has afforded me the opportunity through you via USA basketball, with USA basketball, to be a coach for USA basketball, be a player for USA basketball, to own gold medals, to coach some of the finest players in the country, you know, Jersey Robinson. Some of these kids are going to be the next greatest players in the country. And those kids call you Mama T.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those kids know you by name. I'm friends with coaches like Dan Roffles and Bobby Morgan and Bonnie, and the, it's just phenomenal. And you just being a part of the USA basketball family. I have so much USA gear. It's just crazy traveling with USA basketball.
Mhm.
I am a part of that family. And once you're a part of the family, you're always a part of the family. And you can get called back at any time. And getting that call and getting asked to, would you consider being the head coach? And would you consider being an assistant coach? It's just overwhelming. And my stress level is too high to ever want to be the head coach. So I
Oh,
love,
come on, you got this.
no.
You're like, no, I don't.
I put so much pressure on myself, period, that with USA basketball, I love the one seat over.
Mhm.
Love the one seat over. And when Dan got sick, I was okay staying in the one seat over. And whatever coach they brought in, I was fine with it. Let me stay one seat over and help him or her. And I thought they chose a good coach, and I thought we were great assistants for him. Me and Bobby are like best friends. We're two peas in a pod. I think Bobby and I talk on the phone every day because USA basketball for 2 straight years brought us together. We talked to Dan, who we went through his heart attack, and you just become a family. You're not allowed to stay in contact with the kids, but I still get cards from the kids. They know where where I'm at. And so I'll get a card from the kids. They'll follow me on social media. But you're there with them. You spend 30 and 40 days with those kids in the summer. So you can't say you don't get a relationship with them. And you're so excited for those kids. And you want to see them grow. And I think where you're looking at those kids now when they're in the pros, because even AZ Fudd and all those kids were there for some of the trials when I was court coaches. And it's just an amazing, amazing, amazing experience.
Yeah.
Well, you certainly steamrolled your opponents, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
And,
But
we are,
the nerves, there is such pressure. You think there's pressure over on this side. There's such pressure because when they're telling you we've never lost in blank, you just don't want to be the one.
I'm
that's
not
the
trying
one.
to be the one.
You don't want to be the one that's the one. And I think that's the reason I was like, I don't want to be the head coach because I don't want to be the one, that one coach that lost that game. And so when you're watching when we were doing the 16s and you're doing the others, but when you're watching Joni have to do it, or when you're watching Sue and all those guys, you know how they feel. You know how they feel about everything. You know how they feel about being in those polos and you wish you didn't have to. You know how they feel about having to go out there and try and find blue pants in the middle of the summer. You know all of it. And you know about having to try and find food in Mexico and eating bread when you're like, I'm trying not to eat bread, but bread is the only thing that I can eat that's safe. You know about those things, and it brings you together, and it's so much fun. And I love it that being able to represent junior college in the NJCAA and getting that opportunity and opening the doors for the next NJCAA coach that they're willing to trust.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was huge for me because everything that I do is to open the doors for the next person in the NJCAA, because I love this league. I love this conference. I'm the president of the Coaches Association. I'm all things NJCAA right now because I've been here for 25 years. I think I kind of bleed it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we're certainly happy you are.
Absolutely. Such an advocate for the game and for women in general, and such a great example for your players, for your former players, for your future players. So, keep doing what you're doing for sure. We love watching it and seeing it from afar. So what's on your schedule coming up?
Well, we're gonna go over to Temple, and we're gonna take on Temple on Friday, and then we're gonna take on What is that team? I'm losing my mind.
You're
Cisco
playing
on
in a tournament,
Saturday.
aren't you, down there?
Yeah, we're going to take on a Cisco on Saturday. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be at the Cisco game because I just lost my heart, and so I've got to go and bury her on Saturday. But then we come back next week, and we're going to go to Mississippi Gulf Coast, and we're going to take on Gulf Coast and Meridian. And then we're going to go on our Christmas. Well, we're going to have our ugly Christmas sweater, and we're going to play. Yeah, we're going to play a team out of Dallas, JV team out of Dallas for our ugly Christmas sweater. Then we're going to come back and have to take on Odessa and McLennan. And then we open up Mighty Region 14. So it doesn't get any easier for the
No.
girls. So anyone out there that's offering up some prayers for basketball, I can use them because I just had this schedule that I did it to myself.
Hey, it's gonna pay off. It's gonna pay off.
It really will. It is going to make us stronger. What doesn't kill us will make us stronger, and tough times don't last, but tough people do.
There you go.
Trina, you've been awesome today. Thanks for
Yes.
coming on.
So awesome.
Wow, jam-packed information. You got me fired up.
I know. I'm like, let's have some eligibility.
Yeah.
I don't, my back hurt right now. So no.
Honey, your back, my knees, I don't know what that song says. My neck, my back. I don't know what's going on around here.
Thanks again for being on today, NJCAA Hot Hoops. Trina, good luck the rest of the way.
And we'll be keeping up.
All right. Thank y'all, and go Apaches.
You got it.
Thank you.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
Okay, we're back. Kenya, Dan Olson, our closing segment for the day. We always go through a mailbag.
You got the mailbag this week.
I did. And this question is coming back at you. Okay. It's kind of a two-part question.
Okay.
What was the one moment, performance, game, experience, whatever you want to call it, that really propelled you maybe in your career, in your basketball career, personally, while you were at Trinity Valley?
Ooh, that's a good one. Gosh, there's so many, right? But coming into Trinity Valley, which thankfully my high school program in Duncanville, Texas, and even my AAU program were all very, very tough and very, very structured. So I came with a background of knowing how to work hard.
No nonsense.
No nonsense. So I thought. And then Kurt Bucky got a hold of me. And, I remember we were playing at home and we were hosting the regional tournament. And he called me over to the bench and he said, Larkin, will you just play the way that I know you can play and quit being a damn baby?
Okay.
And
I've saying that.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that it wasn't that I was being a baby. It was that I didn't have the confidence, right? I mean, that freshman year, we had a squad. I mean, we were 5 in, 5 out. Didn't matter who started. We had Boo Barnes, Kenya Bibbs, Sparkle Smith. I mean, me and Rhonda Price. I mean, we all came off the bench. We could go anywhere else, and have been a starter and play the entire game. And so it was that game that a light went off for me, that I had the skill set, that I had the abilities. And after that, we won that regional tournament and I had a fantastic national tournament. Like I had a national tournament that was different than I had played all season. And I feel like he got on to me all the time. He yelled at me all the time and, pushed me all the time. But it was that moment that I remember that light bulb going off. But he just had a way about himself, right? I mean, he had a way of pushing you and getting you to just really, really be the best that you could be. Even, I mean, as his player, and then even like while coaching with him at Oklahoma State, I mean, he just had a way about him that is just, it's something special.
Special. Yeah. He knows how to punch that button, didn't he?
He does.
Yeah.
Punched it real hard too.
Yeah. You got results.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about Texas? When you played at Texas?
Aww.
Same question.
Yeah. So we had not, it had been probably 10 to 12 years, I think, since we had gone to the Sweet 16. And we hosted the first and second round of the NCAA tournament. I think we played UC Santa Barbara maybe, and Bowling Green, don't hold me to it. And we played those games and we would not be stopped. I mean, we wanted to be that team that put us back on the map, right? That did something different. And we just had, Tracy Cook and Kyra White and Ty Dillard, Mutin, that's now at the University of Houston. We had a squad, and we had phenomenal coaches, Coach Conrad, Coach Aston, Karen Aston, Kathy Harston, Fred Applin. I mean, we had it, and for us to get to the Sweet 16 and get to experience that, I mean, that was just really what put Texas, in my opinion, put Texas back on the map. That was my senior year, and the following year, they go to the Final Four and lose to UConn in a very, very, very close game. So, that was just one of my most finest moments, being a point guard on that Texas team and leading us to the Sweet 16 with, I mean, just amazing teammates and coaches, of course.
Yeah. Priceless experiences.
Oh my gosh, I know. And I remember
girls that are playing junior college basketball, if they could hear that right now,
yeah,
take every opportunity you have.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Never
Who's
know.
going to be in that gym watching you and so on. And performance effort is key.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I ended up at Texas because they missed out, on 2 different point guards.
Wow.
I didn't care. I did not care.
Yeah.
They missed out on a Canadian point guard, and then and missed out on another one, but then also one of the young ladies that that was at Texas that I actually played AU ball with, she had torn her ACL and had a career-ending injury. And so, I took opportunities when I got them.
Take advantage. That's right.
Yep. Thanks for asking those.
Good stuff.
That was good.
Yeah. Listen, why don't we shut it down for the week, and we'll be back next week.
Yes.
And with another edition of NJCAA Hot Hoops, and we'll see who we're going to have on as our guest next week. We'll see if we can stir the pot and see what comes up.
Yeah.
But anything else, Kenya?
No, just everybody out there in the JUCO world, keep grinding. You got a couple weeks before you got a long Christmas break. So hands up so you can enjoy your break.
Thanks for watching NJCAA Hot Hoops.